What's wrong with Mike?
What's wrong is Luigi's sudden disappearance from the bike path and how life didn't exactly love him back. You're in for about a half an hour. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mike here. I'm at the age where I just have to start walking. Everybody else is doing it. And some people walk in circles. Well, if you think about it, you've got to walk in a circle. Some sort of closed loop pattern. Like you're not going to leave your house and not come back to your house. It's just that I don't walk a dog. I don't have a dog. So that would be weird if I walked a dog. I guess I'm trying to say that people walking their dogs have some purpose to the walk because the dog has to poop and pee. But otherwise, there's really no other function to it. And now look, walkers and dog walkers, I do not want to step on your toes because I need you. You're my target audience. As an audio-only podcast, I must appease the dog walkers and the regular walkers. And, I see a lot of you with earbuds in, and you don't always say hi, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but that's okay. Those earbuds are actually little don't say hi to me devices that really are effective if that's what you're looking for. But anyhow, today we're going to talk about the story of Luigi. Who's Luigi, you say? Well, I just can't lead with that. I have to build up to it and go on a couple mini rants along the way. That's how this works. Are you still there? Okay, cool. So I'm at the age where I walk, and I need a purpose to my walk. And the purpose is me going to slow motion shop for the groceries. If I walk every other day, and I run one day, actually I jog. I don't really run, I jog. But you can't call it running, really. Or you can call it, if you're going to be honest, it's jogging. But if you want to sound cool, it's running. Just like bicycling. If you're a bicyclist, everybody's a bicyclist. But if you're really serious, you're a cyclist. I used to be a cyclist. 15 years of that. And then when you give that up because your taint almost explodes, which, by the way, I think you'll be ready for maybe around episode 10. I don't think you're ready for that story yet. You have to give it up. You got to do running. You just can't burn as many calories. And so you got to, it's just basic thermodynamics, man. But there's a point when you get to be my age, you don't feel like your body obeys the laws of thermodynamics. You're like, shit, I gained 3 pounds. Damn, shouldn't have ate that apple. Fuck. So you got to get out. You got to get moving. You got to move, folks. Seco. Calories in, calories out. Yeah, I used to be a cyclist. I'm still a runner. But by the way, where do you become a cyclist? Right, I think around 15 miles an hour. Below 15 miles an hour, average speed, you're a bicyclist. Above 15 miles an hour average speed for your ride, you're a cyclist. When do you become a runner? I say you're a jogger if you're above a 9-minute mile. And you're a runner if you're below that. Now I'm a walker. There's no speed threshold to that because you've pretty much given up. And that's where I'm at. Every other day I give up. I can't run every other day. My joints won't let me. So I walk to the grocery store and I sort of slow motion shop, as I was saying. Why do I do that? Because inflation and shrinkflation and shitflation, all of those reasons make me go to the grocery store every other day. And I'll check out that markdown freezer with the clearance items. If they're in a freezer, I'm pretty sure they're good. I'll buy a dented up box of pasta for 69 cents. Just a dented up box. It's still pasta. And you ain't going to catch me not remembering my past. Ooh, chicken breasts are on sale. They used to be $4.49. Now they're only $2.49 or $2.99. I will walk past those chicken breasts and I'll see you next week. I don't need you right now. You just have to sit there and wait. And I'll pivot and I'll walk away and I'll hitch kick my right leg up and sort of flare away. Yeah, that's right. I don't trust the grocery store anymore. There's a lot of opportunism going on. I keep track of everything. And so, and by the way, my favorite grocery store is Kroger. And I don't trust Kroger. Do you know Kroger is Regork spelled backwards? Like we're not supposed to notice that? So anyhow, on the walks to the grocery store and back, I see a lot of people. And by the way, some of them say hi and some don't. I'm a bit spoiled. I moved to the Midwest, basically from the Northeast, where generally we're a little bit less friendly on a superficial basis. But also just don't say hi next much to each other. But I also did live for about 3 or 4 years in a pretty rough neighborhood in Buffalo. Back in grad school, I knew I was going too cheap on the rent. When I drive back to eat dinner that night, and there's a bunch of ATF SWAT team guys outside one house just pointing rifles at the door, and I'm thinking I better take that detour. Yeah. So when I was walking back then, I didn't look anybody in the eye. My eye line was firmly planted on that sidewalk, and I didn't look up at nobody. And some people do that. As a matter of fact, I've got it categorized to the different kinds of highs. You got your nod high. Hey, nod. Especially if you're a bicyclist or a cyclist, you don't got hands free to wave. You got the wave high, and by the way, that's to show your hand. I think that originated so the other party didn't think there was a weapon. Hey, look, I don't got a gun. I don't have a machete. Hi. And that's why we wave. Think about that next time. And I hope there is a next time. You should say hi to people. Here in Ohio, I noticed that we have the smile hi. It's not a say hi. It's not a nod. It's not a wave. It's a, look at my face turn up. I just did it right there. You don't have to do the sound. You could show some teeth, too. What do those people do when they really like seeing somebody? Just open their mouth as wide as they can, like, you can't. It's a visual, and this is an audio-only podcast, but picture my mouth wide open. Now, and you could say hello, good morning. And if you're one of those groups of people, good for you. You're helping. Now, there's other people, and I get it. You don't really want to say hi. You have to do it to everybody. It's a distraction. You're deep into this podcast. And, you just kind of look at the sidewalk when you walk by, or the bike path. I actually respect that. Here's what I don't respect too much. What I don't respect too much are people who actually take you in with their eyes and they don't say hi. That's not fair. You don't get to look at me and then not say hi. That makes me feel like you looked at me and decided not to say hi based on how I looked. And so that's okay. Don't say hi. Cool. Don't look at me. That's the rules. That's what should be the rules. Okay. So I'm walking to Regork. And I see this figure. It looks a little bit out of place. Very thin figure. He's got like beach shorts on, flip-flop kind of shoes. Walking pretty briskly, like an exercise person would. Like a walker. He's got a hoodie on. Kind of, hair is sort of flowing, but not really put in place perfectly. And I'm like, this guy looks a little different. I've never seen him before, because there's a lot of familiar people that on the bike path, or this path that I take to the store, which is, has a significant bike path. There tend to be some regulars, and there's some real regulars. But this guy was new. And he nodded, smiled, and said hello. He got 3 of them. And I continued to see him a lot. And I saw him kind of under the underpass one day. And I thought, oh, he's just trying to get out of the sun. I don't know. I didn't know he was living there. And I live in the suburbs. So once in a while, we have not very often, but we have the people who are unhoused, but they're in the suburbs, maybe for the same reason we are. I mean, I live in the suburbs because I think it's quieter, safer. I welcome judgment. Maybe they're the same way. I know a couple people who said that they've lived in their cars and they've lived like that before, and they didn't really need to. Some did, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a hippie thing for some people. So, this summer I'm going to live outdoors. I don't know. I don't judge. So, I keep seeing this guy. And what really confirmed me was that I saw him go through a garbage can. Now I'm like, okay, now I know what we're dealing with here. And I was wrestling with this because I'd see him every day I walked to the store. And he covered some ground, man. He would go on quests. Later on, I discovered that he would just go rifle through, the ashtrays outside the bowling alley for a half-smoked cigarette. And he'd light it up. Cigarettes are expensive. I get it. And so I had it in the back of my mind, like, who is this guy, and is anybody else noticing? Because I'm noticing. And when you walk places, you notice a lot. When I walked to Regork, all this winter, there was a dead raccoon there. Just stayed right there. No one noticed. Everybody else driving. You don't notice a dead raccoon sitting off the sidewalk. Now, weeds have grown over him, and I just smell them. That's the kind of thing you don't get driving a car, gang. That's life and death right there in front of you. And you get reminded of it. See, that's why I do. So anyhow, I got my answers when I ran into Gary. Who's Gary? I can tell you who Gary is. Gary's a guy who's a retired roofer. He rides his bike every day unless it's ridiculously bad conditions. I see him riding out there all the time. He rides pretty slow, but if I'm running or jogging, actually no, less than 9 minute mile, I'm running. He slows down a little bit and we have a chat every once in a while. And it's usually kind of like, did you see that guy? He actually has that kind of really deep, raspy, croaky voice. You see that one guy the other day? So I said, hey, you see that guy walking around with he's got the same clothes on every day. He's wearing, flip-flops and a hoodie. Yeah, it's Luigi. Luigi? That's his name? Well, that's what I named him. See, there's Luigi, and there's Guido. Guido, now we both know Guido's a guy, he rides around an electric bike, and he goes to the grocery store and back, and he's always carrying like a messenger bag, but he's really not put together too well. And he just looks like somebody who might live outdoors. And he does. That's Guido. The new guy's Luigi. I'm starting to wonder, like, hey man, what's up with as an Italian American, what's up with your nicknames? Is it something about Italians? Or is this all about Mario Kart? What's my nickname? So anyhow, he said that, yeah, it's Luigi. I saw him, pulling something out of the garbage can the other day, and he goes up to Kroger. I did see him at Kroger. And so I'm walking into the Kroger, and I saw him. This is maybe a couple months after he just appeared. And he really was aggressive with the garbage can at the entrance of the Kroger. And so, at a given time, half a dozen people walking in there. He had no inhibitions, man. He just put his face right into that thing. And you can't just go right up and stick your face in it. Right, ladies? But don't get me wrong, though. Actually, the loot in that garbage can's probably pretty prime. That's where everybody ditches their everything before they go in the store. So, if this was like Fortnite, the game, that would probably be like one of the blue chests. Not one of the little yellowish gold chests just kind of resonating there like, ee. This is like the good chest, with all the good loot in it. Like, ee, and there's like a gold gun and slurp, whatever the fizzy slurp is. So I get it. Risk reward ratio. But I think he got a little carried away with it. Because I think people are starting to catch on. Now, Gary catches on to everything, but people are starting to catch on. So he got a little too aggressive with the garbage rummaging. And there's something else about Luigi, I gotta say. And this is what really impresses me. Is he was a pretty young guy. Pretty athletic build. Now, look, I am not, I don't seek males romantically. But this guy was handsome. You know what? I'll go further and say he was hot. And now look, it's on the table. I don't like men romantically. Prove it, you say. Okay. I'm not even attracted to firemen. Okay? I'm not attracted. And they shop at the Kroger, the one I go to, because it's a nice one. I see firemen all the time. That calendar, they got cut up abs. Nothing. Not for me. I wrestled for 7 years. I've felt the contour of a man's body very, very intimately in many, many hundreds of wrestling matches. Not even a twinge down there. But I can tell when a man's attractive, or at least something I think is attractive. And Luigi was. His hair was kind of flowing. He had kind of these thin, pronounced cheekbones. Very, very, like I said, thin but athletic physique. And he outwalked me. He went blowing past me with flip-flops. And he wasn't lazy. He went on those quests. He would cover 10 plus miles every day, I guarantee you. And couple that with the friendly smile, nod every time I walk by. You know what? I think he's a catch. Physically, at least. Maybe the garbage rummaging wouldn't really be too much of a hook for the ladies. But I'm an optimist, I think. Matter of fact, you know what? I go back and say, if there was a calendar, like hunks of homelessness, Luigi would be like July. Okay? Well, things get worse. He's starting to limp now. I was thinking, man, how can I help this guy? I was already growing like a gorilla squash location over near the overpass just to see if I could do it, and I've documented that on social media. I was thinking of saying like, hey, because it's the best thing would be to help somebody, but let them retain their pride. And I can say, hey, you see, I'm growing squash over there, man. He went right by me where the squash location was. I should have pointed it out. But I was too afraid. I committed an error of omission. I was afraid to commit an error of commission. So I didn't say nothing. And by the way, what's a guy without a fire and a soup pot going to do with squash, right? I mean, you can't eat that stuff. Yellow squash, got pretty thick skin on it. You can't eat it raw. Better off going with the garbage can stuff, honestly. So I was thinking of planting some old running shoes where he, maybe he's my size. Those flip-flops were obviously giving him blisters. He was limping. And the weather's starting to get cold. So I notice he's limping, maybe putting on a few more clothes, finding more clothes, still doing the same milk run of walk every day. And then just one day, he was gone. And just around then, I was walking on the overpass that directly is over where Luigi was kind of living, I think. And I saw this big mountain of a cop. Big, huge guy. He was 6'5". And I saw him walking towards, he'd parked the cruiser. I saw him walking towards the overpass. I was walking over it. And he's kind of got his nightstick out. Actually, I don't think they use nightsticks anymore. He kind of had this little bag, a little something that maybe they might slap you with. But he had it, of course, for his own protection. He had it out. I'm thinking, somebody's not going to have a good day. But I didn't see him. All winter, never saw him. Spring comes, haven't saw him. Saw Gary yesterday. I was out on a longer ride, bicycling. And I'm like, hey, stranger. Hey, Mike, what's going on, And I'm like, hey, you seen Luigi? So, I ain't seen Luigi. You know what happened to him? Howdy Doody told me. Who's Howdy Doody? Howdy Doody's a guy. I'm not going to use his real name, but he does look like Howdy Doody. In my town, some of the kids I've had for my class and my kids who went to the high school, they call him the man with the yellow hat. He wears a yellow hat. His skin on his face is like, you could tell it's been baked in the sun. It's really red and leathery. He's got a huge case of scoliosis in his upper back, kind of hunched over. And his legs are sort of concave. And he just kind of shuffles. And his shins are a little bent. And he actually looks like a walking marionette. And that dude covers some earth, man. I'm talking, I saw him once like 15 miles away, one way, on the bike. He's out there walking, just all day walking. He's thin as a rail. And if you talk to him, he'll tell you a joke. He'll have all these jokes, street jokes. And I usually am lucky enough to keep going the other way. But because of the red face and the marionette style, he does look like Howdy Doody. And he and Gary talk, and Gary kind of reluctantly talks to him because he's like, oh man, Howdy Doody's going to catch me and I'm going to get stuck. And then Gary will pass me on the bike, and I'll see Howdy Doody coming like about a half a mile away. And then Gary will be like, hey, Gary, I'm passing you, just to let him know that I didn't get stuck. But Gary told me yesterday, he's like, yeah, Howdy Doody told me that the cops came by, and he was locking himself in the bathroom. Yeah, there's a bike stop. It's a really nice one. I think it's even heated. And they took him to the pokey. Got to figure this guy's a boomer. So, pokey means jail. So they took Luigi to the pokey, and I haven't seen him since. Will he come back? I don't know. But I kind of regret maybe not doing something for him. And not necessarily just because he was struggling with life, but because he looked at me, nodded, and said hi, and acknowledged me as a human. He didn't beg me. He didn't ask for nothing. He just greeted me. So here's a guy obviously not crushing it in life, but he's got time to say hi to people. I hope he's okay. Part of me hopes he comes back, and the other part hopes he doesn't come back. I don't know what to think. I don't have to think anything, I guess. Sometimes we just don't know. But say hi to somebody. That's what I would say. Thanks for listening.
Have a question for Mike? Email him at mikecanistero@icloud.com.